Wheels up, the Gear Force is airborne. First time in front of an audience. Hello. They can't believe it either. I know, it's the first time, so we're all feeling our way around this. And I want to just thank the host, WLS AM in Chicago and the NBC Tower. They have a room here. Thank you. Marv Niren, who runs the radio station here, was nice enough, after I hosted the Man Cow Show this week, to let me come and do the podcast taping here. And Marv, you've been a wonderful person. Now, he's one of the good guys, I have to say, in this business. And they are here. There are some out there, and I found one, so that's good. So what we're going to do is something a little different. I have that opening on the show, as you know, and instead of me reading it, I thought I'm going to have one of you read it, and one of you being Ryan from Wisconsin. Ryan, come on up here. This is Ryan.
Yay,
Ryan Corcoran. Now, Ryan sends me a lot of stuff, a lot of material, and a lot of you do. And I look at all of it, and I use, as you know, I'll use some of those stories for the opening, because I like that input. And Ryan, he's working day and night. Do you work, Ryan? I mean,
no, this is my second job.
I swear to God. So I got to tell you this. He sent me something, and I didn't use it. He sent it about 2 weeks ago, and I thought, I'm going to wait till we do this because I want to talk about it with you. He sends me this picture from Green Bay, right?
Yes.
And it's by Lambeau Field, and it's the gift shop, right?
Correct.
And the gift shop has a sign on top of it, Titletown. And it's at night, and the LE is burned out. And it's Tit-Town. And I thought, that's aces, too. That's great. Did you take that, or did somebody send it to you?
Someone sent it to me.
Yeah.
But I had to pass it to you.
You did, and thank you. And that's the kind of stuff that I like getting at 773-888-2157. And your voicemails, too. And that was gold. That was gold. I love that, Ryan. So I thought of all the people I want to read the opening, Ryan Corcoran.
Put me in the hot seat.
And his lovely wife, Jamie. They both came from Wisconsin today, and I appreciate that and all their support. So have you read over the script?
I have.
Okay. You ready to go?
I am.
All right. So we're going to see some sausage made today besides the sausage we're making. And I'll do a 3, 2, 1. And now what's going to happen, this is going out live on Facebook, but when the show is posted, Keith, my fine producer, he'll take it into his lair, and he'll dress it up with all the bells and whistles that he does. With Bill Curtis, he's Garry Meier. And Gary, and all the horn, the War of the Worlds horn that starts everything off. On WLS this morning, I started every show with that horn, and today I asked the audience, what movie is that from? What's that from? And the people in the studio didn't know, and then a caller said, War of the Worlds. And if you've seen the movie, and I like to hear, I like audio, obviously, because this is the medium I'm in, but when I hear something like that, when I first saw that movie, when the tripod comes out of the street, and I didn't get into this on the radio show because I ran out of time, and I thought, okay, this is a great thing, and somebody texted me on it too. A lot of the movie images, according to a person who texted me, have relevance to big events. And if you have seen the movie that was put together by Spielberg, if you look at the tripod, the top of the tripod looks like a Nazi helmet. Look at it again if you haven't seen it, or you have, and you remember, oh, yeah, it does. So think about it. The aliens, the tripod, exterminate people. There is a scene in the movie where they're standing by a train station, Tom Cruise, and Tony Bennett is playing, If I Ruled the World. And if you start to incorporate all these images, it's very much the Holocaust in a lot of ways. And that's the parallel. That's the analogy they were going for. But when I heard those horns, I thought, wow, I really like the sound of that. It's very mesmerizing. It really grabs your attention. And every one of my shows, as you know, starts off with those horns. And so you hear the horns, and then you hear 3, 2, 1.
Hello, breaking news.
Wait. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't write the name of the towns in.
You were gonna fill that in for me, Gary.
I'm sorry. It's hello, Sheboygan, da-da-da. Right.
Okay.
I haven't written the towns. He's right. I'm going to use your town and other towns.
Santa Claus, Indiana.
Right,
whatever
all those
we
little crazy-ass towns we come up with. Then I go breaking. Go ahead.
Okay. So should I pick 3
Let's
towns?
do it again.
Should I
Yeah,
pick
yeah,
3
do you have
towns?
3 towns? You want to do 3 towns? I didn't write any down on the
Sure,
script.
Can
but
you use Wisconsin names? Because
Yes, I
those
can.
always sound
Do all
funny.
Wisconsin?
Even yeah.
Yes.
Go with the theme.
Yes.
Okay.
'Kay.
Let's do it again. Here
Let's
we
do
go.
it again.
3, 2, 1.
Hello, Waukesha, Wisconsin, Wauwatosa, Wisconsin, and Kenosha, Wisconsin. Breaking news. This type of story rotates around about every 2 months like the armored car doors popping open and the money spilling out. It's the kid trapped in the claw machine. This time it's in China, when a 3-year-old crawled inside the claw machine to get a stuffed Pikachu doll. You know, that's popular these days. She remained in the machine until an employee was able to find a key and get her out. First of all, why don't they design these armored cars with the same kind of doors?
I want to show you how this is done. This is perfect. I'm glad you did that.
Okay.
When I record those, I'll screw up. So what I do, and this happened, this is funny. Marv, I'm going to give you a little inside stuff that I did this week. Marv Nyron, the general manager. It was funny, and people say, what's it like now when you go back to radio? I haven't been on radio for 5 years after you've done a podcast for 3+ years. So I was in the studio, I'm reading a commercial, and I stumbled, and I paused, like I was recording. Because I thought that I have to leave a space for Keith to edit that later, and I'm live. I'm thinking, what are you doing? Yeah. It's the same thing when you're watching something and you think you can change it with a remote control, like Being There, that Peter Sellers movie where I can't. No, I can't. This is live. So what I would do, I'll stumble. Leslie and I will screw up, and
I don't screw up as much as he does.
I'm the big screw up. And she'll stop or I'll stop. There's a space, and then I would mark, oh, that happened at so and so on the edit there. And then I'd send it to Keith, and then he makes it look like there's not a flaw in the world.
So I get a redo, you're
He
saying.
did that on purpose. I said,
Yes.
Ryan, do that on
Please.
purpose because I want to show how this is done. Okay? To show how complicated it is. All right, so pick it up there.
I'll pick it up there. First of all, why don't they design armored cars with the same kind of door on the claw machine? Because a kid can go in, but apparently cannot get back out without the chute key. A claw machine only has cheap-ass toys inside anyway. Now, what's the point of the cheap-ass toys that this 3-year-old was amongst? Because she was in China. I would imagine these toys were still warm, that they were made right down the road in the factory. By a 7-year-old, no less. A developing story. Let's stay with the China theme. 4 men were arrested in
That's all right. That's what I like.
We'll clean
Keith's
it
going to
up.
make you look so good.
Thank you, Keith.
Really.
4 men were arrested
Here's what I do. I'm just giving. I start again.
At the
if
top.
if I stumble right at the top, I'll go. All right, Keith. A developing story.
Story.
And then
So that would be a pro tip then from you.
yeah.
you.
Oh yeah.
A developing story. Let's stay with the China theme. 4 men were arrested in Kuala Lumpur airport in Malaysia for trying to smuggle over 5,000 baby red ear slider turtles in small baskets in the luggage of 2 Indian nationals who flew in from China. This is a crazy town. The turtles were worth around $15,000. The red ear slider turtles is one of the most commonly traded turtles, meant for 2 purposes: meat or pets. Wow, that's 180 swing. A pet or a sandwich? The men had been arrested because they had no permits for the terrapins they were carrying. During doing some math, here with these turtles are around $3 a piece. There's another reason I'm not a big fan of India. Not enough indoor plumbing, too hot, too many people.
Page 3.
Page 3, and your pet is a $3 turtle, or is that your lunch? You pick. I'm Ryan Corcoran, broadcasting from the NBC Tower in Chicago. Now that I've done this, Gary, it's not that hard, my man. I'm 100% happy. This is the Air Force Digital M80.
Yeah. That's how it's done.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. That's great. And thank you again for all your contributions.
You're welcome.
All right. So, yeah, that's how the magic is done. The beauty of taping the show, and the goal is to go live more often. We want to take phone calls and everything. It's just not where we are at that point yet. This is the first step. And that's what's going to happen as we progress, as we are now into year 4. Hey, I said it.
We're slow starters.
Couple years ago. We'll be live. We'll have merchandise. It's coming. We got the T-shirts. We got the cups, and then live and But it's a work in progress, which is fine. I have no problem with that. I hope you don't either. I know you'd rather probably call in once in a while, but we don't have that yet. Now,
But it's evidenced by your merchandise. Sometimes it's important to take a few minutes and get it right.
yes.
And let's face it, the Gear Force logo with the SST, is that the coolest thing ever?
Well, thank
Come
you.
on.
In fact, if somebody could bring a shirt up and model it, I want to show the people that are watching this on Facebook Live. If we
have Gear Force scarves
and scarves
as well.
too. Yeah, let's bring it up here to show what we got. We got black, we got white. Go to GarryMeier.com and the Can't Live Without section. There it is. That's the logo. The price is right. Got mugs. I'll get a coffee mug up here. Yes, she is the caramel of
Plus,
Gear
the coffee
Force.
mugs are educational.
And on the coffee mug, in addition to
we
the
are.
logo, thank you, here comes one now, I have some of the sayings that I've talked to you about over the years. Hot coffee is hot, breaking news is usually not, thin ice is thin, apes go ape, wild animals are wild, sharks live in the ocean. This last one, I talked about this today. You've heard of this story. This girl in the Bahamas, 21 years old, was eaten by sharks. Okay, and they're doing this story on the news as if this is a big story, and I've been telling people that's where they live.
Yes.
If it comes up in her toilet and kills her, that's a story.
Which is why we'll find you poolside all the time.
All the time. And they had the girl's father on Good Morning America today, and they're talking about the sharks as if they're gang members. It was 3 sharks. One had a tattoo behind its ear. One had a do-rag on. And they show these sharks, just, I guess, general sharks. Okay, what are you telling me? Don't go in the ocean? Got it. But it's stupidity that's out there, and I feel sorry for the family, of course, but come on. How many times do we have to tell people that's where they live? A bear beats somebody up in the woods. That's where a bear lives.
In the woods.
In the woods. Apes go ape. Harambe. How about this? If you have a 3-year-old kid at the zoo, hold the kid's hand. Now it's Harambe's fault because the kid goes down in his little enclosure? That's his fault? This kind of stuff. So and there's the front with the logo. All right?
Very nice.
Yeah, finally merchandise. You got to have the merch and scarves. And I'm also working on, we got a prototype. It's a pin of that SST, a silver pin. Would you like that? Would that be something you might like? Okay, so working on all this stuff. to
Give
keep
us
things
6
rolling.
months to a year, maybe.
6 months to a year. Yeah, 6 months to a year. Got 6 months to a year. Hopefully sooner than that. Okay, so funny story is going to happen. Leslie's going to do some news, and then something happened right before we started this with Jose, who's sitting in the front here, and we're going to have some fun with that after Leslie. It's okay, Jose. It's not going to be bad. We'll have fun. We'll edit it if you're.
There you go.
Yeah, if you don't take that out, my lawyer's going to sue your ass. No, it'll be fun. It's classic that happened the way it did. What do you got, Les?
Could it be that computer navigators are developing a wicked sense of humor? About 100 Colorado drivers found themselves stranded when a Google map gave them a shortcut around the traffic jam last weekend. A crash on Pena Boulevard near Denver International had folks looking for alternative routes, and Google provided one for a lot of them. That alternative route, however, was a dirt road because of recent rains that was nothing more than a muddy mess in the middle of a field, leaving many motorists hubcap deep in inescapable muck. What was supposed to save them 20 minutes ended up costing them hours until they could be towed out. Google issued a statement in response, quote, "While we always work to provide the best directions, issues can arise due to unforeseen circumstances such as weather. We encourage all drivers to follow local laws, stay attentive, and use their best judgment while driving." In other driving news, after plunking down something in the neighborhood of $250,000 for a new car, a man in Canada only got to drive it for about 10 minutes before it was impounded. Police in West Vancouver clocked the 2019 McLaren 600 LS. The 2019 McLaren 600 LT supercar doing 100 miles per hour in a 55-mile-an-hour zone on June 17th. When officers eventually pulled the car over, the 38-year-old driver admitted that he had just left the dealership. Too bad for him, that didn't change any hearts and minds. Police slapped him with a $368 ticket and impounded the car for 7 days for excessive speeding. Doing the math, that means he's probably back out on the roads this very minute.
I like these people that come up with these excuses like it's going to matter. I just left the dealership. Why are you pulling me over? Yeah?
Yeah?
How does that play?
It smells better when we drive it away.
Yes. Smell the new car smell. Come on.
A substitute teacher in Texas is out of a job after she was caught filming porno inside a classroom. The incident took place at El Campo High School just hours after students were there. But someone tipped the police off, who began an investigation. The teacher's name is not being made public, but according to school officials, she'd only been employed there for about 3 months. Police say they had no physical evidence that a crime took place, saying that the suspect had closed the door and had clothes on by the time they arrived. It's still unclear how they determined that any pornographic acts took place.
Reading, writhing, and uh-oh.
And forget the engagement ring and a glass of champagne. When Dustin Marshall wanted to pop the question to his girlfriend, Lindsay Norman, he went the extra yard. It seems the two are big fans of pool, and they and their friends have a deal that when someone sinks the 8-ball too early, they have to drop their pants. So with some pre-planning, Dustin did just that. And as Lindsay looked down at his keister, she noticed something different. A new tattoo of their cat and the words, "Will you marry meow?" And that's when he pulled out the ring.
Yes.
Lindsay says she started to cry. Quote, "I'm a bit of a crazy cat lady, so that's why he chose a picture of our cat Pinky." The two plan to tie the knot next August.
Oh, that's beautiful. That first story about the GPS, my wife and I were visiting her family in Pennsylvania, and we had a gift card that somebody gave us for Buffalo Wild Wings, and we weren't familiar with the area, and it plugged it into the GPS. We're driving for 2 hours looking for Buffalo Wild. They had really some of these addresses. They just bring you out to nowhere and leave you for dead, as Cousin Eddie would say.
Well, we've had people turn onto railroad tracks, drive off bridges.
But again, much better if you're from the era where we had the big paper maps and everything was microfiche. How the hell we got anywhere beyond the next 2 blocks? How do you see it? Remember
that's
that?
when our dads would just get PO'd.
Yeah.
I'm not asking for directions. Wild Wings.
Stop and ask for directions. No. No. Okay, I want to bring up a good friend of mine from Bettenhausen Automotive, John Doolin. Where are you, John? Come on down. John Doolin and I have become friends through the Bettenhausen relationship. Bettenhausen has supported my various radio programs over the years. And talk about loyalty. Beyond that relationship, just great people. John, I want to thank you and Bettenhausen for everything you've done for me. And we have 2 people here who bought a car recently.
There they are.
Joe and Kristen. And they heard about it on this program. And you set them up with a Jeep. That's what you do.
That's what we do.
And they are happy. Everybody's happy. So listen, thank you, John, for everything you and Mike Bettenhausen have done for this program and beyond. Thank you.
I appreciate you. Yep, no doubt about it.
Now, let's talk about what's going on at Bettenhausen.
Well, this morning I played 7 holes so I could come down here. We were
Okay.
one of our biggest things, all kidding aside, is we try to get involved in everything in the communities that we serve. So this morning was the Garry Meier, no relation, Foundation, community services. Long story short, about 20 years ago, he gave a guy $50,000 to start a foundation to help people in the community. And here he is 20 years later. He's passed away, but the outing has sustained. So we were out there this morning, but wanted to come down here and support you and Leslie this afternoon. So Chuck, our guy Chuck out there.
Chuck Polini, who produces the Bettenhausen commercials, he's here. He's a great videographer. And thank you, Chuck, for all you do with those Bettenhausen commercials. I record them, and then he puts in the that kind of thing.
Yeah.
He dresses them up.
But the cash is all you.
Cash.
Yeah.
Save some cash. Go down to Bettenhausen, save some cash.
So Chuck picked me up on the 7th hole, and here I am.
Awesome.
I want to ask you about that policy you told me about that I didn't know about. We talked during the holidays, and you said that if you buy a car, you'll fly some people in if they're not in the immediate area, and they can drive it home.
Yeah,
or you'll ship the car.
Or we'll ship the car. So we sell around the country, especially with our Alfa Romeo and Maserati brands. Those are most prominent around the country because those vehicles are generally just based upon inventory and whatever the car has, essentially. But, yeah, no, we have locally we have home delivery. We'll come to your house, pick up your trade, bring you the car you want. If you've gone online, bring you a pizza, sign all the docs in your kitchen, and we load your trade back up and drop your car off. Nationally, we can either fly you in and you can drive it home if you choose to use us, or we can ship it to you. So we've got no problems at all. One of our greatest success stories, Vince Neil from Motley Crue, bought his Viper from us. So we shipped that baby out to Vegas, and he does have a Bettenhausen plate frame on there. So
let's talk about Joe and Kristen when they came in and walk through the process. Did you handle that, or how did that all go down?
Actually, I found out by accident. I was sitting in the thing, and your sales person was Jamie, I believe. She got to me and said, "You're not gonna believe this. These people came in and they're talking about Gary, and
why don't they believe that?
And, you know,
what? You're not gonna believe this. This guy actually sells cars."
Well, I mean, one of the hardest parts for us is sourcing. I mean, so if it was up to us, we should just put one big billboard in the middle of the street because everything is drive by. But this is actually one of those things where she came up and she goes, "This guy just couldn't stop talking about Gary and his podcast. He listens every day." And then I had explained to her that Gary's in town. He's coming into town, and I sent Gary the email that she sent me, and Gary reached out, and here you guys are. So
and they got a Jeep, right?
They did buy a Jeep.
Jeep Cherokee. Is that the biggest seller of all the brands you handle? I mean, I see a million Jeeps out there every day.
Yes. Jeep is the number one seller around the world. For us, we do more Wranglers probably than anything else, but Jeep Cherokee is the fastest growing segment in the market, and it's really just a great car. So, and it is sold around the world. It's continents are on the front grille. That's what those represent.
I didn't know that until Matt, who's in the audience today, texted me and said, "You know why the Jeeps have 7 slots in the grille? Because it's the first vehicle that touched all 7
continents.
7 continents, yeah. So now every time I see a Jeep, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, there they are.
Every day.
So that's a great story. And
speaking of the grill, we do a lot of fun stuff like around Christmas. We turn the grill into Christmas trees. We turn it into a menorah. And
seriously?
Yeah. We create posters, and yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, it's fun. It's actually good. You can have a lot of fun with Jeeps, but Jeep is the number one brand out there. So.
And I was talking to Chuck about this. Bettenhausen, we say in the commercial, you're not making this up, it's the number one dealer in the entire Midwest. Head and shoulders. I mean, the second dealer is not even close. That's the inventory and the volume that Bettenhausen does.
Yeah. So we've been number one in the Midwest for about 6 years running, and we do have the largest inventory in the entire Midwest. So,
and it's not a surprise, and I'm not doing this just because they're a sponsor. I've been with Mike Bettenhausen now for 20-some years. When I was in high school, I went to Tinley Park High School in the south suburbs of Chicago.
As did I.
Okay. And I'm looking through my yearbook one day, and this is a long time ago, and there, your first building, it was a little storefront thing. The homecoming parade was going by. They were sponsoring the homecoming parade way back then, and John's right. They get very involved in community. It's not just a business, and we don't care about. They really immerse themselves in the community, and that's above everything that everybody else usually does. So that's why I'm with these. And again, our friendship, this friendship that we've developed is really special to me.
Yeah, and it's not really just about cars and selling cars. It is about building relationships, loyalty, and friendship, and he's been great to us, and we'll be by him forever. So.
Well, thank you, John. I really appreciate that. Thanks to John.
And if I could, the only other thing I want to say, I'd like to talk about the foundation for a second.
Yes, please do.
We were involved in this a couple of years back, Bettenhausen Foundation. So what we do is every year we go to Tinley Park High School and we take the freshman class, and what we do is we just make them adhere to pretty minimal things, C average, take part in school, do a little community service. You don't have to be sports, you don't have to be this, but you just have to be active in school, have to participate, but you have to be a really good person as well. So we gave out our first $10,000 check 2 weeks ago. So they go through all 4 years, and the principal, Teresa Nolan, who you met couple times. She whittles the kids down based upon certain criteria, and then we had 3 people come before us. It was probably one of the toughest decisions we ever made, but came down to Morgan Knoll was her name. So
Congratulations.
Yep, so she
yes.
She
That's
got
what I
our
mean.
first check, and
That kind of stuff that you guys do, it's just really special.
And we pretty much live by cars are indeed our business, but our commitment to the communities we serve will ultimately be our legacy. So anybody can sell cars, but we like to give it back as well. So we appreciate everything you've done for us. It's great to see you and Leslie live.
Thank you.
And we hope you're back soon.
Well, I'm not going anywhere as far as I know.
We're here.
Well,
No, you're not going anywhere. You got the crucifix.
I always say that, but then, hey, look what happened. What the hell? It's always a Godfather scene where you're sitting there and all of a sudden somebody's strangling you and I'm kicking out the windshield. I talked about this on the morning show on WLS this week. My friend George, who's here, he took me to lunch the other day in an area in Chicago called Little Italy. And we have lunch and we're paying the check, and there's a book behind the cashier on display, and he said that is Gianni Russo, who played Carlo in The Godfather. If you remember that scene, that famous scene that he was in where he's strangled and kicks out the windshield, and he said, you should call him. And I had already told George that I'm going to start the first show of the week doing that passage from The Godfather. Carlo, that didn't fool me. You have to answer for Santino. And I thought, well, if I could get Carlo, the guy who played Carlo, right at that moment, but when I called Gianni, which he gave me and George goes, I said to George, so how do I get a hold of him? He goes, here's his cell number. I go, how do you have his cell number? Don't ask any questions. Don't worry about it. So I write the number down, and it's one of those things where I've got the number, and I'm sitting there, I got to call him. I don't know. What's it going to be like? I finally call him. He answers, hey, Gianni, Mr. Russo, my name is Garry Meier, and I do this. I'm doing a show, and I'd like to have you on, talk about your book, Hollywood Godfather. And he said, well, I'm going to be in Chicago in July. I'd rather do it in person. I'm going to do some appearances. Plus, he lives in Los Angeles, and he would have had to wake up at 3 because I was on his time, 3:30. So we kind of passed on that. All right. About a day later, I have to call some other person in Los Angeles, and I didn't have them listed in anything but in my mind where they had the same prefix, the area code. So I see this area code, and I think, oh, that's the guy I want to call. And this is have you all done this where you hit a number, oh, I don't want to call, and you hit it, and you think, that didn't go through. There's no way. It was instant. It always goes through. So I hit the number. It's Carlo's number. 10 minutes later, hello, this is Gianni Russo. Did you call me? I'm like, you have to answer for Santino, Carlo. You have to answer. And that, one of those, that was my best butt dial ever. That will not be topped. No, Mr. Russo, I butt dialed you.
So I can tell that George and Garry and lunch is a big deal, right? So
Yeah.
Can I tell the story?
Which one?
When you came out to lunch and you wanted me to go to lunch,
yeah.
but I couldn't go to lunch.
Okay.
But they discovered do you want me to tell?
Go ahead.
Should I name it?
Yes, I don't care.
Okay, so they show up at the dealership. We were switching cars. I don't know what we were doing. So George and Garry show up and like, oh, we're really hungry. You got time for lunch? And I didn't have time for lunch. And they're, well, where can we go? I go, go right down the street. Mickey's Gyros, if you're familiar with Mickey's Gyros. So these two go down there. Well, they come back, and you think someone handed them $100 bills, right? They come back. Have you ever eaten in that place? Well, of course I have. It's $200. And it's like $12. And you're like, you get like a burger, you get fries, you get a drink. We both ate for $12, and actually George paid for it, which never happens, right? But it was like $12, right?
Okay, that is the story. And
we're used to eating downtown. You buy a sandwich. I never seen two guys more mesmerized at two burgers for $12.
I'm Catholic. I like to know I have a good deal going, and I'm talking about the dollar store. People must think, geez, what's going on with this guy? Well, this is a startup kind of thing, this podcast. Okay, so that is true, and George and I walk in, and George looks up and said, what day is this? And I said, Tuesday. And he goes, it's 15% off senior citizens on Tuesday. Here's the deal. When you live in downtown Chicago-ish, everything's outrageous. I mean, the most simple thing that shouldn't be. So Yeah.
Yeah.
So we go there, and the regular prices were nothing compared to what we're used to paying. And when we got the discount, the whole thing, and it was delicious, and fries, like John said, it was all of $8. So we're a couple of guys like, wow, that was pretty cool. And then I'll use the savings on lottery tickets. That's what I do.
Yeah. Then they immediately went to Food for Less and Saks Outlet.
Yes. Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Now you're making
couldn't resist.
I know. Listen, I love this kind of stuff because okay. Now you've sent me down that path.
Sorry, man.
And I got to talk to Jose. He's an atheist, and I gave him a crucifix. I got to talk to him.
He's got underwear to talk about
Right.
now.
Saks Outlet is this store out where my mother lived, and I don't know how I found. Did you tell me about it?
Well, I did. So,
Okay. So you buy a pair of socks at some places, they're $12, $25 a pair. And I'm too Catholic to pay that. Okay, quick side note. One day I go to this vacuum cleaner store in Chicago, and I saw this vacuum cleaner, and it was kind of expensive. So I said to the guy, this is beautiful. I go, I'm Catholic. When does it go on sale? He goes, this is a quote. He says, I'm Jewish, never. And I thought, touche, wrap up the vacuum cleaner, I'll take it. And I've had this vacuum cleaner 25 years. This is a well-built vacuum cleaner. So John tells me, I start talking, how about these socks I saw for $25? He goes, there's a place on 159th in Oak Forest called Socks Outlet. So I go there, and oh my God, I walk out with a bag of socks and underwear. I must have had 15 pairs of socks and 10 pairs of underwear for $35. I mean, where do you get this? And they're nice socks and underwear. This is brand name stuff. So then I tell my friend George, and now it's an outing with the two of us. George and I are the Siegfried and Roy of Chicago. Not that we do magic, but we hang out, and I tell this story about when we went to Petorino's, a fine let us entertain you restaurant, for cabaret night. Right? And here we are enjoying cabaret, and then they give us our meal, and then George says, let's have some ice cream together. We're eating peppermint ice cream, the two of us, like we're dating or something. I'm sure my wife's thinking, what's going on with you and George?
I
Really?
want to see him spooling pasta like Lady and the Tramp.
We're very close. So then I took George out to Socks Outlet. He got a bag of underwear and socks for $30. It's a great place.
If you could only see, so Gary would come out and get the Fiat fixed. We'd just throw him in a car so he could go cruise around. He'd come back, and he's got paper towels for a year, toilet paper for a year, 2 things of laundry detergent, Kleenex. He's like, you ever been into Food for Less? I'd be like, why would anybody buy this anywhere else?
Okay.
So now the two of them together, when they come out, I got to give them a ProMaster so they can go to Socks Outlet, Food for Less, and just
load up the
collect
car.
everything. Yeah.
But again, with the tax situation and the prices in Chicago, you start to go, wait a minute, I have to figure this out. This is insane if I keep on this track. So Food for Less is one of those stores that is by my mother where she used to live. So when I go visit her, I thought, well, why would I pay the tax in Chicago when I go get a little break? And everything's 50 cents, at least 50 cents an item cheaper. Brand name. And you know what store is starting to really make a move? Aldi's. They're opening up Aldi's all over the place. This is a German or Swedish company?
Swedish, yeah, right.
Swedish. And see, they figured it out. German. But they're looking at the market going, okay, all you have to do is bag your own stuff or whatever, but we'll save you a lot of money. Why wouldn't you want to save money? Why do you want to give your money away? That's why you go to Bettenhausen and get the best deal.
Right.
Go ahead, compare the. What's that?
Yeah,
No, you have to
right.
bag your own truck. You have to put the truck in your own bag and box. Okay, good one. Very good. So that's the deal.
Excellent.
That's the deal. All right. So, wow. Stuff I had forgotten about.
I spotted George and couldn't resist.
Yeah, I know. That's what we do. We go out and do this stuff. So, yeah, thank you, John.
No, thank
Appreciate
you
it.
guys, and welcome home.
Thank you. Because this is my third tour of duty at this radio station. I'm going to get it right one of these times, or something's going to happen. One of these times it's right. I think I'm going to break that formula. All right, so
He's
Dave,
such an optimist, isn't he?
I am. Dave
By the way,
Nov-
his socks look awesome. In
Yes,
case
they're
anybody
very nice. Dave Novotny is the master sculptor that I've talked about over the years, who has given me stuff to give away to you, the listener. He just does that on his own. There's no charge to me, no charge to you. He just does it. That's the kind of guy he is. CustomSteelArt.com. He customizes anything in steel, but he also does wood. Custom metal art, Dave? Come on, Dave. Where are you, Dave? Come on down. Come on down. Let's talk. We got time. Do I have to go to news? I'm so used to that this week. Go to news. I just said hello. Go to news.
Go news.
That radio format, a little tight. This is a little looser. And Dave is sporting one of the fine Gear Force T-shirts. Custom metal art. That's the website?
Yes.
Okay. And I met Dave walking through an amusement park. Well, that's a sentence right there. Walking through an amusement park, period. There was this amusement park in suburban Chicago that was closing. It's like all those little amusement parks that I went to as a kid called Kittyland.
Yes.
And I'm walking with my wife and daughter. She was maybe 7, 8 at the time, and we wanted to show her what these parks look like because they're all going away, it seems. And as we're walking through, Dave comes up and says, "Hey, I'm Dave Novotny. I know who you are, and I'm the master mechanic here. I keep all this stuff going." Wow, that's pretty cool. And then we started talking. He says, "I also do sculptures." And we started talking about that. And then he sent me this beautiful skyline of Chicago that I put up in my office. And then it kept going from there, where he'd make these beautiful Indian heads that I gave out at the Blackhawks games, and on and on. And then I'd have a Christmas broadcast, and he'd make a bunch of stuff and say, "Give it to the listeners," and I would do that. And here we are today, and you brought down some of these wooden crucifixes.
Sure.
They're a variation of the metal ones. Can you grab one for me, Dave? I want to show people that are watching on Facebook Live. This is a crucifix. Now, he does a metal version of this that I've given away. And, okay, I guess if you're not religious, but the metal one is a piece of art. This is a piece of art. So I'm here before the show talking to one of the listeners who came, Jose, who I've talked to before on programs I've done. And I just walked up and I said, "Jose, would you accept this crucifix?" As if I'm on The Bachelor. Yeah, here's your rope. So I hand it to him, and he puts it down, and he says something, and I didn't hear him. I go, "What?" "I'm an atheist." I thought he was kidding because he's just having some fun. "No, I'm an atheist." And I thought, wow, what are the chances? I guess the chances are pretty. How many? Do you know the percentage of atheists in the country, Jose? You must, because that's a club, and you must know. They all get a key card. I don't believe. And do you know what the percentage is? No.
But it's the rise in.
Well, somebody put a mic. Hey, George, can you grab the microphone and we'll have Jose on? But what are the chances of all the people?
How many other atheists do we have
yeah,
out here?
so I don't. There's another one. All right, and it's reverse Oprah. You don't get a crucifix. You don't get a crucifix. Right. So that was a moment that I'll never forget. Let's see how Jose responds. All right. You've been an atheist for how long?
Atheists assemble.
What's that?
Atheists assemble.
And you got your other atheist is
Yeah.
over here. So
All right, meeting at 7. All right.
It's
How
so
long?
easy to join. I mean,
It really is.
you don't have to
Yeah,
know
to be
water,
done.
no
Right.
nothing.
So thank you for having me on. That's
no
great.
problem.
I have a Facebook podcast, so I appreciate that. Your question was
How long you been an atheist?
I think since we're gonna edit this. No,
No. No, you're online.
I think my parents had a religious issue going on. My dad was one thing, my mom was one thing, and I call them the religious wars in the house.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then I just realized if this is how it's supposed to work, I don't want any of it. So at around age 12, I decided I'll just stick to myself and I'll try to believe in the goodness of mankind.
There you go.
Try.
That's all.
On the way here, I was reading Albert Camus' The Stranger, so you know where my mind is. So.
Okay. What will you do with the crucifix? You want me to give it to somebody else, or?
You handed it over to me, so I appreciate it, and this will be a good memory.
Okay.
Yeah, but if you're worried I'll do something terrible, I will definitely hand it down to someone else. But I won't.
You make films?
Yes.
What kind of films do you make?
Well, I did 2 horror films, and I did a sci-fi post-apocalyptic film, and I'm working on a dark fantasy called The Four Girls that I plan to shoot next year.
Now tell us you make films. What does that mean? You make films and they are released on the. How does that?
Well, I have a
work?
distributor for the first 2 films I worked on, but it's independent filmmaking. Spielberg hasn't called me yet, but I'm waiting for the phone call. Maybe you can call your friend to call Spielberg for me. That'd be a great butt dial. But then, so it's just independent filmmaking, and now with the new age of digital amazingness going on,
You can do amazing things.
You can self-publish, you can self-distribute your stuff. You gotta work hard at it, right?
Right.
To let people know what you're doing. But so that's
Are these
what I do.
full-length movies?
Full features, yes.
And what is a budget for one of these? And
Well-
where do you get the money?
Well, working really hard. Now we have crowdfunding, so that helps. So I go out there, people can donate, and then of course I work extra hard and just raise the money any way I can. But my last feature, being that it's not union and it's local Chicago actors that I work with, I think it was about 7,000, and that was
Yeah.
the futuristic post.
And where can people see these?
Well, my website, skibblefilms.
What is it?
.com. Skibble Films.
How do you spell that?
SKIBLFILMS.com. That's Skibble Films. My friend's, my teacher's name was Mr. Bobowski in high school, and he opened the doors to filmmaking. And in his honor, his nickname was Skibble. So in his honor, I called it Skibble Films.
Oh, that's cool.
So yeah, that was at Benito Juarez High School. Yay, Benito Juarez.
Where's that at?
Ashland and Ashland and West and Cermak.
In Cermak in Chicago here.
Yep.
Okay.
Pilsen.
Is there a casting couch with Garry Meier's name on it?
Or a Leslie Kiley. Hey.
I did say it's independent filmmaking. So
Yeah.
there might be
You're going to be making them in that classroom, that story Leslie was talking about. Is that the kind of film you're making, Jose?
Oh well,
Not much was happening.
Right.
Hey, can I
Oh.
give you my quick Godfather story?
Yes.
Okay, I told you this on the air, but I'll remind you. I read The Godfather at the age of 10, and I wanted to watch the movies, and my mom wouldn't let me because it's too adult, right? So I read the book, and one day I walked into a used whatever store, and I found The Godfather in a beta for 25 cents. So I said, I'm watching this. So I pop it in at night. I don't want anybody, I don't want my mom to bust me. I'm watching it. And right before Sonny gets it at the toll booth, the image changes, and now I'm watching an adult film.
No. That's not the blowing away you were thinking of.
Something got blown there, so
So the rest of it was porno?
yes. And I'll never forget Big Mama Jama. She taught me a lot. And tape disappeared. I never told anybody, but somebody must have found it. And the tape disappeared. So every time I go through a toll booth, I get nervous because I don't know. I don't
Who's going to
know.
pop out of that little booth, huh?
Life will change in a second, so you never know.
All right, Jose.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, Dave, when people come to you, they can say, make this, make that, and you'll do it.
Yeah, custom design, sure.
And you've been doing this a long time.
30 years.
30 years, and the stuff is just magnificent. Now, your laser printer you've just activated, which
Yeah, just-
allows you to do a lot more intricate stuff, right?
Yeah, it allows me to do wood and acrylic. And I'm a metal guy, been a metal guy all my life, but now I'm kind of experimenting with some different stuff.
If you have a particular a sport that you like, a team that you like, he'll do the logo, whatever, and the stuff is magnificent. It really
Yeah,
is.
we
And
make tables, chairs,
everything.
everything. I'm a one-man shop, so I make everything myself.
Yeah, I don't know how you do all this by yourself, but you do.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it's beautiful stuff. And again,
I have a long waiting list.
do you?
Yeah.
How long?
Yeah, depends.
Yeah.
Months.
Months? All right, well, still.
Months.
So this is June. If you want Christmas, get it in now.
Yeah, get it in now, yeah, because if you order it in September, October, you wouldn't get it till February.
All right, well, you've been warned. Custom metal art.
Yeah, you bet.
Dave Novotny, again, you've been such a friend of the show and so generous for everything you've
got
done. I thank you.
You got it.
Dave Novotny.
All right. Thank you.
I want to bring up Dan Fedor. Dan is the tech reporter on the program, and he always enlightens me, and I hope you, on what's going on with all this stuff. One of the things that he told us about, at least he told me about, I didn't know it existed, was the Design device. And welcome, Dan.
Thank you, Gary. Thank you. Hi, everybody.
Hey. Tell everybody that doesn't know what that is.
Yeah, absolutely. So when Gary transferred over to the internet, I had gotten to know some producers over at GN, and long story short is, how do you listen to Gary in your car once he moved over to the internet only? And we make an assumption that everyone is as tech savvy as I am, and I'm not that tech savvy. So there's been a few changes in technology, but the wonderful thing about technology is that there's a lot of aftermarket technology that's very cheap that allows you to have basically the same thing that someone who's driving a Tesla has. So what Gary's referring to is the Design, as in Bumblebee, Bluetooth device. It's $25, actually $24.97 on Amazon. And what this does is, many of you might have a car that has Bluetooth capability for your phone. So someone can call you in your car, you can answer on your car. But if you try to play media, Gary's show, iTunes, whatever it might be on your phone, it won't pump through your car speakers, because before a certain year anyway, it was not standard to have Bluetooth media capability on your car. So I drive a 2008 Chrysler Town & Country proudly, and
we got to upgrade you, John Doolin.
Did he leave yet, John? Hold on. But what happens is, it's very subtle, right? But we get very used to technology. It's a first world problem. But the fact that you'd have to put your phone on a magnetic mount, which you all should do on your dashboard so you don't text and drive, then you've got to plug that adapter cord into the headphone jack. That's actually kind of a cumbersome process, and it prevents you from doing things like listening to podcasts in your car. So this $25 device on Amazon, there's several like them called Design, and they'll be on Gary's website. This allows you to plug that into your audio jack, plug it into your cigarette lighter, and leave it there. And then what happens is, you get in your car, your radio will go to auxiliary automatically, because that thing is plugged into your headphone jack, and it'll pick up your Bluetooth connection from your phone, and then you can just treat your phone like your radio console. So it just eliminates that step of having to connect the phone manually when you get in and out every time, and it also provides the ability to talk via Bluetooth, so you can be listening to Gary's show, take a call, go right back to Gary's show, or whatever else you want to listen to. So what we're going to do today is, instead of giving away 2 Designs, I've got 2 Amazon gift cards, each for $25, that will let you buy the Design, but if you already have Media Player, you can spend it on something else.
All right,
Cool.
and we'll do that to with the audience here after we go off. But thank you again for that. Is there anything new happening? And I'm sure the general manager of the radio station is going, son of a bitch. They're just driving people away from. When you're not listening to the podcast, listen to WLS AM 890, because they've been a great host. This guy's giving me all the other, and son of a, I don't know what he said on that one, but so what, is there something else out there that you want to tell us about?
No, I don't think, there's a million things out there, but what we're really trying to accomplish is making people aware of the technologies that are currently available, and those Bluetooth connections for your car are extremely helpful. And the only other technology that I would encourage people to think about is all of the Google products that you've been hearing about, Amazon as well, but these thermostats and these smart lights, you get great discounts on them from the electric company. ComEd will give you a discount, and they are incredibly handy. So I just encourage people to think about those devices. They're not that expensive, and they're also great aftermarket things. And you can even install these thermostats by yourself, and I did it. So if I can do it and not burn down the house, then you can do it as well. So I would just say, keep up with the show, keep up with my Twitter feed. I'll post the Design link online, and again, we'll give away a couple of gift cards at the end of the show today.
And I brought Dan up from the lobby of the building here at the NBC Tower, and he's on the phone. And I swear to God, every appliance or something in your house seems to have gone.
Yeah.
As they say, on the fritz. Yeah. You had something going as you're going up the elevator. My air conditioner, what's going on now?
Oh, yeah, no, my 2008 Chrysler Town & Country, we had to recharge the air conditioner yesterday, and then it wouldn't start after we finished. But now apparently it's starting again. But you're right, we do need to do a show from my refrigerator because we have a smart refrigerator, and all the kids in the neighborhood love to come over and talk to it. So that's what I'm doing for society.
Well, that's Jetsons like. We're talking to the refrigerator. That's a thing for kids now.
Yeah, and adults too, if you're lonely.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, nothing much was happening until Dan turned the refrigerator on. All right, Dan, thank you for all of your contributions.
Thank
Dan
you,
Fedor.
Garry.
I think we've covered all the bases that I can see. I want to thank Ryan. Ryan brought me 2 inflatable snakes because I, years ago, would put an inflatable snake on my car seat, and that was a theft deterrent because they'd see the snake. They didn't know it was real. It's dark. And I had lost the snake or whatever, and Ryan, where did you find these? Amazon. How much? $5. 2 inflatable snakes. You can't beat that. Thank you, Ryan, and all the other nice things that people have brought today. So we're going to bring the Gear Force down for today, Friday, and thank everybody for coming and participating in the first Facebook Live, and of many, I hope. And I'm just going to say to Mark Zuckerberg, we won't show any breasts, so you won't pull it. Guys, got something wrong with that.
There may be elbows, and we
Right.
know that sometimes they
Sometimes they
don't like
look
those.
like breasts if they're on the edge of the bathtub. I got in that kerfuffle once. And all of you, thank you so much for your support over the years or days, whenever you started listening. Uh-oh. Security. Don't forget Gear Force merchandise website, GarryMeier.com. Go to Can't Live Without, and oh.
Hey, Gary, now you got something going.
Yeah, I think you are going to have your own little fan club here to deal with. Have a great weekend. I'll talk to you all on Monday. Take the cannoli, kiss the schnauzer, 3 in the green. What's down? Gears, flaps. The Gear Force has landed.